This is Jonathan Lane from Fan Film Factor, and today I am here with three of the creators of what is, I believe, one of the first ever Star Trek fan films to come out of the lovely country of Italy. It is called, in Italian, Dell'Amore e della Onore, which is a wonderful rhyming title in Italian. In English, it actually translates to Of Love and Honor. So it actually kind of works melodically in both languages. But it is a wonderful fan film. It is very artsy, like a lot of Italian and French and European independent films. It has a wonderful visual look to it. It has a beautiful sound and an original musical score, and it's lovely, lovely, lovely to watch. Also, I have to say that one of my favorite languages in the world, I can't speak it very much, but I love to hear Italian. I mean, I could turn off the subtitles and just listen to you guys talk all the time. Beautiful, beautiful language. Anyway, so to my immediate, I got to put the other hand up. There we go. The right on the screen is the writer and showrunner of this lovely fan film, Mr. Jack Ponissi. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah, mostly.
Okay,
Hello.
mostly. And then right below me, we have Walter Webb. That is his stage name. He actually has what is your actual last name, Walter?
My actual name is Walter Chiorino, which is
Walter.
much more difficult than Walter Webb.
I'll take the Webb then. And then finally, in the last box there on the lower right, we have Jörg Solner. He's actually based in Italy, and he was the visual effects. But that's Italy, Germany. Sorry, wrong country. The one to the north. Switzerland between the two. We have him. He did the visual effects. So we're going to chat with these folks today. I'd like to first of all say a buongiorno to all of you, or buongiorno for me, buonasera for you guys, because
Sì, buonasera.
buonasera, because it is 6:30 or six. Well, I guess about now it's about 6:15 or so p.m. in Italy, and it's 9 o'clock, 9:15 for me in Los Angeles, and that's because the world is round, folks. So, anyway, benvenuto, amici miei. How about that? That's welcome to Fan Film Factor, my friends. Practiced that all last night, and. Anyway, let's start talking about your fan film. I'm going to start with Jack. Now, speaking of changing names, Jack's actual name is Carlo, which I know in American, sort of in English, translates to Charlie, and yet you're Jack, just Jack. How did Carlo become Jack?
Well, it really didn't. It's just one time I decided to change my name, and this was like 30 years ago. And 20 years ago, I decided to actually use Jack in most of my real life interactions. So most people know me as Jack.
All righty. I could also call you Fabio because that is the most amazing hair, I have to say. That's just now. And we were chatting a little bit before we started here. You said you haven't cut your hair in what, 15 years?
I think so, it was since 2008. So yeah, more or less.
My goodness gracious, that's it looks amazing. My hair can't get nearly that long. It goes kind of wavy and crazy and everything, but aside from that, I'm also losing it. So um anyway, so Jack, you contacted me
Mhm.
how many years ago was it? It was
Well, we started this project, it was 2020. I think I contacted you like 2021, something like that.
yeah, and you wanted some help. You wanted help with your crowdfunder. You wanted to
Yes.
and you were actually planning on like building like
Yeah,
regular
the
POS
original idea
sets?
was to build the whole set. Well, I still like that to happen for like the second part, of course. We'll see, we'll see. I just need to add, I just got a message from our actor Marco saying he's a bit late, but he's coming.
Ah,
So
okay.
he
So
says I should join.
we're gonna get one of the actors as well. Yeah. So just so everybody knows, we wanted to get as many of the cast and crew as possible on here, including the lovely ladies. But
Uh,
unfortunately, most of them don't speak English. So we have
mm,
one of the actors, Marco, does. So he was going to join
mm,
us, but he is running a little bit late. So we started without him. And anyway, when he
yeah.
joins, I'll just add him to the group here. But anyway, thank you for that, and thank you, Marco, when you come. And so anyway, Jack, what first made you think, okay, I want to create a Star Trek fan film here in Italy?
Well, actually, it goes back to 2008 when I
Oh,
discovered Hidden Frontier, the fan film Hidden Frontier, the fan series actually. And from there, I got to New Voyages, and it was more or less when also Of Gods and Men got released. So I really started thinking, dreaming about this. Then pretty much nothing came out of it. I was still in high school. The situation here was very different. Of course, it wasn't so easy to get in touch with people online. I actually got into Blender, which that year started doing a bit of 3D, which is the software Jorg uses still today. Of course, is much better than what I ever was. Anyway, in 2020, during the lockdown, I met a guy who wanted to start to make a Star Trek fan film, and but of course he was just like, yeah, maybe we should, and I was, of course, let's do it. And eventually, I kind of took over the project, and we did it. It's
so
been a long time dream.
it now I want to ask because obviously Star Trek in America is fairly big and major, but I'm very curious about how big Star Trek is in other countries. So in Italia, how much obviously Star Wars is big and this other franchise is big, but how
Mm.
how big relatively is Star Trek in terms of fandom and people who watch it?
Uh, I don't think it's as big as in America, but it's fairly big. Pretty much everyone knows the original series. Most people don't know the latter series. Some know the generation. All the movies came out in this in cinema anyway. So yeah, but
If
like
if you remember the series Mork and Mindy, which is a spin-off from Happy Days, which is one of the first roles of Robin Williams, where he does this like Spock and says "nano nano,"
No, 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 no.
is more famous than Star Trek in that generation. Mork and Mindy was more famous than Star Trek in the 70s.
That is very funny because during the 70s is that's when I grew up, and Star Trek was on every single night. I would eat my dinner and watch Star Trek, and it was just 79 episodes over and over and over again. So that was it. That was all the Star Trek we had, and so we memorized
mm,
those episodes. And then of course now there's over 750, I think, Star Trek episodes, maybe 800. I'm trying to take my son through them right now. We're in season 3 of Voyager and season 5 of Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine is getting really, really good for him right now.
mm,
But I'm like, okay, are we going to be able to finish all the Star Trek before he has to go to college? He started 8th grade, so it's a good question. More homework. We're not going to have much time to do it. Um, okay, now, Jack, you're based in Turin, Italy, correct? Is that right?
exactly. Yes.
Okay. And for those people who do not know the map of Italy, Turin is in the
Northwest.
northern, yeah, northwest. You're right there, next to France and Spain there. And by the way, my honeymoon about 20 years ago was in northern Italy.
Mhm.
So I the most if any of you ever like have like enough money to just go one place. People who are watching just like one place in the world. Northern Italy is amazing. I know some people like Southern Italy and Rome or whatever, but we went to Firenze, we went to Pietrasanta, went to Pisa,
went to Porto Venere and Cinque Terre. Oh, we love Cinque Terre. And then we went to Tuscany. We went to Cortana for an afternoon. That was gorgeous. We went to Siena. We had pizza on the piazza. We saw the beautiful cathedral there in Siena. It was October, so they had the mosaics on the floor opened up. Oh, that was amazing. Then we went back to Firenze, otherwise known as Florence. We took a train to Venice.
And then we finally went to Milan to basically just get ourselves to Como for the last couple of days and then came back. But that was the most amazing trip. Amazing food, amazing architecture, amazing art, amazing people.
But you didn't go to Turin. How's that?
We got as far as Cinque Terre. We had to get back. We had to get back to Firenze because Florence, by the way, is Florence, by the way. But we had to get back to Florence to rent our car to drive through Tuscany. And I grew up in New York City, so I actually know how to drive in Italy.
Yeah, that was the question. With manual,
you know what?
gear.
It was very funny. It was very funny when I was driving in Italy. They knew I wasn't from Italy, but they knew I knew enough to survive. So, and people who are not from New York or from Italy won't understand this. But I was driving aggressively enough that they had some respect for me. So they would come like, this close to my tail bumper, and then they would go around. But it was just like, yeah, I'm from New York City. All right, I can do this. Terrifying. Yeah, if you go to Italy and if you don't drive aggressively, don't drive. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
And there's little room to drive through because we have much smaller roads, so
smaller roads and smaller cars. It was kind of weird. I was sitting next to my wife, and in American cars, you can put a person between the two of you, and in Italy, maybe you can put a small dog. But I remember at one point we were driving around Como, and it was raining and it was dark, and we were going around the western shore, and the road went through a house or a building. I don't know what it was. I mean, I'm sure that horses went back and forth through this, many years ago, but it wasn't really a car width. But even if it was, there wasn't room for cars to be going in both directions, and I had no idea if there was a car coming in the other direction or not. And the fact that I am still married to my wife and she didn't divorce me after I pretty much went through this without even slowing down, I was just like, okay, just gonna go for it. I don't know what was coming. But anyway, enough about me. We're going to talk about you and your fan film here. So Jack, you decide you're going to make a fan film. It's 2020, 2021. What happened next? What were the first things that you needed to do to get this thing?
Well, it was still in the COVID period, so filming immediately was impossible. The first thing I did was writing it, basically. And I have this strange thing. I usually, when I write, I walk. So I was going around in Turin and writing the movie on the phone. Then
writing and walking, huh? There's a lot of walking
exactly.
in Italy, by the way. A lot of walking.
Yeah. Then I went back home and kind of took my notes and wrote it properly. After this, one of the first thing I tried to do was finding someone who could do the special effects, the scenes in space, and that's how I found Jorg. I basically went on YouTube and looked at I don't know, a dozen of different channels of people who did fun animations, and writing to the people I liked, and Jorg answered, and well, we basically started working on the movie almost immediately by then, and it's been a fantastic experience.
Now, how did you find Walter and the rest of your? I mean, who was in charge of finding a director and then finding the cast? And
Originally, originally we had this guy started the project who was supposed to be the director. He actually directed the first teaser a couple of years ago.
The first what?
We had a teaser out, a
Oh, the
teaser,
teaser.
yes.
Yeah, you had a
Uh,
teaser with where I think you green screen
with the green
yourself in
screen,
front of you.
yes, exactly. And but he wasn't kind of always not that much involved. So I held the audition with a friend of mine. So we in 2021, I think it was 2021. Because before this, we were supposed to do this with group of people in Rome, a group of cosplayers. But with the logistics and everything, it was really not doable. So I think it was 2021. I said, okay, let's do it in Turin and let's all do the auditions. And we did, and we found the cast. Eventually, when Frank, the other director, dropped out, one of the actors said, I know someone who's very good at directing, and introduced me to Walter. And this was 2022, I think. Together.
And when did you guys actually film it all? And how many different days did you film?
Walter, you remember how many days?
It was like 6 or 7 different shooting days. The first one was the longest because we shot all of the scenes that were set on the bridge, which were the only scenes where we had the entire cast together. So we said, okay, let's do a full day bringing home all of the scenes with the entirety of the casts. And that was between, I don't know, 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. We had like 12 hours shooting or something like that. The other shootings were easier, which are a little shorter, not necessarily easier, they were shorter. And it was last summer, and it was, it was last summer. It was around 1 year ago, in a month, almost in a month, we found all of the shooting days, and I edited between August and October. I mean the main editing process. Then I handed to Jack this version, and he started working on the music, and then we finalized it all.
So let me. Now, I guess we'll shift over to Walter now. Are you a are you an experienced director? I mean, I can only assume you're an experienced director only because it looks so good. But what have you done before this, or was this your first time directing?
Well, it's a little complicated. It's not like a director. I will never call myself an experienced director, but for the very same reason that I'm a video maker, not exactly a filmmaker. So I do video production for clients or video production events, after movies for events, social media content, and stuff like that. I have to deal with a lot of genres, but I shot a lot of short films, and I work with an acting school, which is the acting school of my parents, which are theater actors, and they directed this acting school, and we do the acting masterclass for cinema, acting in front of a movie camera. So I started doing scenes in 2016. I still do them now, and it was both a playground and a gym for me to learn the tropes. And I always really wanted to push some limits, play a little with the cinematography. Doesn't matter if it's just an acting masterclass. I really wanted to invest some time in building at least a little cinematography. The first years, well, I mean, I didn't do very good stuff. Now, 1 year after the other, with the video making job, I worked on a lot of sets, spots, short movies, and stuff like that. So I wouldn't call myself an experienced filmmaker for the very same reason because that's what I do is a little different. It's the whole world of indie filmmaking and video making kind of shift. I mean, there's a very blurry line between the two. But yes, I've been doing video making for, I mean, professionally, or at least with a professional intent at the beginning, for 6 or 7 years, 7 or 8, so something like that. This is my this Star Trek. I think it's my sixth short film. Well, thinking about a short film, 20 minutes long short film. All of the short films I do end up being something like 20 minutes. So yes, short, but not that short.
Short films.
Short. Let's call it short. So yeah.
And so were you the source of the actors and actresses that appeared in this? Because it seemed to me that these people actually knew how to act. I mean, I can't speak Italian, but I was just, as I said, I love hearing the language, and you could feel the emotion coming from them, the intensity.
Tipo di arrestare i motori e presentare la nostra resa, signore.
Ne sono convinto. Avanti così.
Potremmo farcela. Noi possiamo manovrare lì in mezzo, loro no.
Bello, come adesso si appossiamo al plurale. Giuro che se ci tiri fuori di qui, d'ora in poi userò il plurale maestatis con te.
You know, I was thinking that these have got to be real actors. Was that you? Did you find those through your parents' class or anything, or the people that you know?
Part of them. Well, first of all, I forgot to thank you a lot for the compliment on saying that it looks like shot by an experienced, because it's a huge compliment for me, and it's also a huge compliment to the cast and to the whole crew, saying that the actors, they really shine even through a foreign language, for you. And I found a couple of them because most of the cast was already decided when I came on board the project, but a couple just left the project for personal reasons. They weren't available anymore, or they moved, or something like that. So okay, I'll go through the acting school and find a couple more actors to fill in the gaps, and they all did a brilliant job, really.
I directed when we held auditions originally, and it was me and this friend of mine, and we opened it up pretty much to everybody, and it was almost immediately clear that to shoot this kind of film, which is not, there is a lot of talking also in it. We needed someone who could actually act. And there were we had a lot of louds on this. I remember in particular a couple who auditioned together, and they had the script, they didn't memorize it, and they kept saying the Clintons instead of the Klingons. The Clintons.
Nice political subtext all of a sudden.
The Clintons are firing on us.
Oh, so they didn't get the part. Oh, it looks like we have Marco, or at least we have a thing that says Marco on it. I think he's connecting the audio. Hopefully he's connecting the video. I'm so excited.
He said he's working on it.
All right, well, if he's working on it, then we will just continue talking without Marco until he joins us, and keep our fingers crossed. But anyway, so Walter, so when you were actually directing, how much feedback, how much direction did you give the actors? Was this, were you a very involved director, or were you just like, oh, these guys are doing great, I won't stop them, just, continue delivering the lines like you're doing?
Well, what we did was rehearse a lot the scenes before shooting, because during the shooting, in the set, all of the technical aspects were all onto me, mainly because I did the shootings, the cinematography, and I did the direction, I did the gaffer, the lighting, the sound. So I knew by a little experience that if you are very focused on the technical aspects, you are not going to follow what the actors do in a precise way. So we decided to rehearse a lot the scenes so that they could know what to do, what to say precisely before shooting, so that I could count on them doing all by themselves.
Okay, cool. So you were really responsible for the look of it in terms of cinematography, all that wonderful smoke. Um, the decision to go black and white with some scenes, was that on your end, Walter, or was that more Jack? Because I know Jack was the editor. Because going black and white with some,
I am the editor.
oh,
I am
you're
the
the
editor.
editor. Oh, my apologies. Um,
Don't worry.
Okay, so you were the editor. So pretty much the entire visual look of it was all you then.
Well, yes, we some things, many things were decided together with Jack. I never went all out by myself and said, okay, let's do this, because I said no. We always I just had a little confrontation on how to do this and how to show that, and to find a solution that could satisfy the both of us. And for the black and white, well, it's really just a very common thing to do when you want to do flashbacks. You want to do them in black and white, so it's very clear that it's set in the past. It's very common. It's not that original, but it's the easiest way to. And in this kind of things, the stereotypes not being original actually pays off, because it's easier for the audience to see what's going on. They see a person looking through a window, and then a black and white scene appears with him doing something else. Okay, they immediately know it's a flashback.
I totally understand where it comes from, but it's just the thing about Star Trek fan films typically is the people who are making them, more often than not, aren't necessarily accomplished filmmakers. I mean, they want to be. And there are some who are accomplished filmmakers, but even when there are flashbacks and stuff, they don't necessarily go to black and white. Sometimes they'll blur the edges a little bit and create a little vignette. So it really was it was much more of a significant, let's say, gutsy, courageous thing to do with a Star Trek fan film, since very seldom do we see any Star Trek go black and white, in terms of the actual, film Star Trek that we've had. So a lot of fans tend to, hew more closely to what they've seen. So, but not only did you go black and white, I mean, you definitely had a look and a visual feel. And what I also liked was you didn't have incredible sets. Obviously, we have 2 or 3 different places in America where you can be on the bridge and it looks exactly like the bridge they had at Paramount in 1960, 1966, and you guys didn't have it. But rather than trying to really make it believable, or going with green screen or whatever, you were just like, okay, this is what we've got. So we're going to let the imagination go. If they're in the turbo lift, it's like, okay, you just imagine that they're in the turbo lift. I kind of knew they were in a turbo lift, even though I'm just seeing these 2 stage lights on either side of them. That was very gutsy and unapologetic, I think, as well as the word I would use here in English. That it's just, if you like the story that we're telling, go with it. If people start complaining about your sets not being too good on YouTube or whatever, just tell them Jonathan said F you.
A very big thank you, because you described exactly what we were going for, because we were going for a more theater-like thing. In theater, there's this rule that if a character sees something that is not there, but he sees that, the audience sees it too. So we wanted to build a very essential set, because pretty much we didn't need it, because the main principle with Star Trek that it's just show more focused on characters. Maybe it's what I see in the beginning of the movie. There's a very brief introduction when I say that. Where I say that Star Trek originally, you like it for the story, for the characters. You you don't really like it. Maybe you do, but you don't really remember for the original production design with the cardboard production design. Maybe you like it, okay, but that's not the point. You remember it for the stories. So we wanted to go back to that idea in a much more essential way. So let's remove everything in some scenes. There's almost nothing. There's just a wall and that's it in some scenes. The bridge is it's a skeleton of a bridge. I used some old audio mixers and video stations to give the actors something to press, some buttons to press and something to light up, which was a little fun to do, but nothing more than that. It was all shot in the same room with just different lighting. It was my studio, which is not very big. You can see the entirety of the studio in the larger shots of the bridge. That's the studio. So the entire fan film was shot there, which is very limited space. It was very crowded, but that was part of the challenge, and that was part of the fun. And it's incredible what we can do with a couple lighting, with a couple lights placed in the right place, and some smoke and a fog machine. You can do really a lot with not much.
Okay, and by the way, I now see at the bottom that we have Marco and Mark. I'm assuming that Mark is just another account for Marco, since I don't think we've invited him.
Marco is the human side, and Mark is the Vulcan side.
Oh, there he is. Is that indeed Marco? Can we hear Marco? Let's see. Say something, Mark. We can't hear him.
That's a step.
It is a step. At least we can see him. Jack will continue to try to talk him through all of this, and in the meantime, let's move over to Jorg and chat with the visual effects supervisor here. Now, first of all, real quick question: where in Germany are you located, Jorg?
That's a town you never heard of, I guess. It's called Aachen.
What?
So that's not too far away. Aachen. That's not too far away from Cologne or Düsseldorf. So that's a very middle west Germany. So directly at the border, Belgium and Netherlands. So if you're looking at the map, that place.
Okay.
You said Aachen? You said Aachen?
Aachen, Aix-la-Chapelle, Aachen.
No way, my aunt lives there.
Yeah, okay.
That's incredible.
It's a small.
Sorry, I didn't.
After all,
I didn't want to interrupt. Sorry, I just thought it was fun.
No, that's all right. I love the real moments like this. Actually, Cologne, Germany, is the location of the amazing Tobias Richter. Do you know Tobias at all? Have you interacted?
Yeah, not personally, but of course I know his works. Yes, perfect.
Yeah, and Tobias did a number of fan films early on, including Prelude to Axanar. He did stuff for Star Trek New Voyages. I believe he did the effects for Gods and Men. He did Renegades. He just does an incredible work. Which is not to say that you, Jorg, have not done incredible work as well. This is obviously a good Star Trek fan film is helped by good visual effects. So what happened? You were contacted, and then what? What was your next step?
So years ago, Jack asked me if I would join and make the CGI for this idea to make a film. And I said, yes, okay, let's try. So I hope I can contribute somehow to that idea. And then finally he sent me the script. And there were a lot of scenes with CGI, with some space scenes, and he highlighted it. And okay, then I started to work. So we thought first about, okay, which ships should appear in that movie. Okay, then I started to work. So, but Jack exactly did tell me what to do in a way. So I had some footage in mind. Okay, I made something. And I sent it to him, and I thought, wow, maybe that's good. Maybe he likes it. He said, yes, but please could you rearrange a little bit? And so we have several iterations. So yeah, so he does exactly know what he wants. That's good. Yeah.
Now, did you model the ship yourself, or did you use an existing model?
No, not at all. So I never model the ship. So that's something I want to do in the future also. But no, I always take already modeled ships, so and use them and just animate them in Blender 3D.
Now, when you're animating the ships, are you also deciding on lighting and lens lengths and all that sort of stuff? Or are you...
Yes. That's the first idea. I have something in mind how it maybe looks like. Should be okay. And then later on, Jack gave me always a comment. Okay, could you please rearrange a bit or whatever? Yes. So, yes. But first, footage idea comes then from me. Besides that, he tells me in his script, of course, what should happen. Of course, yeah.
So you know it's supposed to happen. So how do you, as the artist, decide what goes through your mind when you say, okay, so I need to create this shot of the ship, and all it's doing is just flying left to right, which can be incredibly boring, obviously, or it can be very exciting. So what goes through your mind when you have to make the decisions of how do you make it more interesting than boring?
That's a good question. Sometimes also from my side, I have to do it several times and check. So I see what you just explained. So I make a scene and I just see the ship coming to you and side by side. And okay, finally, maybe it's boring. Then I have to think about, okay, how can I make it a bit more interesting? So maybe move the camera with a ship somehow, or like there was one scene with a torpedo to follow the torpedo to the ship or something like that. Yeah, but this is something I have to view it first. So there's no recipe for me. So it's just pure hobby. I'm just trying. Yeah.
How many times do you mess with the scene before you think, okay, this is it. This is what I want to show them?
Maybe 3-4 times for me, and Jack also maybe 3-4 times. So makes in total maybe 8 times. Yeah.
Yeah, because then you show Jack, and he's like, "No, that's not what I want. Do it again."
Yeah. But in a very polite way, of course.
Yeah, I had that experience with when I did my fan film interlude. You know, I had Louis Anderson, my friend, doing the visual effects on it, and you know, there were some times where it's like, it's just not what I want. And how do I tell somebody who's working for free to redo it? He was like, "Look, you got to be happy with it."
Well, it's good for me hearing another voice telling me what may look better, because I'm pure hobbyist and I have no idea. So I want to improve. So that's fine for me.
I remember when we were working on the space dock scene, which is really hard to make a space dock actually look good, because usually you have a space and Jorge often makes like a nebula or something that adds color, but a space dock is gray or blue. And so we went through many iterations of that scene, and of course there is a space dock there, so the computer takes a long time to render. So I think we stayed on weeks on that one.
Yes, some things took a really long time rendering. That's correct. And space dock scene was tough for the computer. Yeah.
So you just leave your computer on all night and all day and all night and just rendering.
Sometimes, yes. Yes, that's great.
Oh man, yeah, I have a lot of respect for the computers of the 3D people, not just the 3D people and their talent, but their computers and their tenacity. Alrighty, so we are going to try to do this again with Marco calling in to Walter. Marco's going to answer the questions for us, and then Walter's going to relay his answers to us from the phone. So the question for Marco is, what is your background as an actor? What is your training?
So see, what he does is uses the method to really build on the past of the character, try to bring out his past and really analyze it a lot. and to continually referring to those memories and what has happened to the character, to use it on set. Because if you're in the mindset of someone who is really carrying his memories with him, you can actually be true to the character, because you are the character in that moment, because you are thinking like the character, you're thinking about his past, his memories and everything, and so you're bringing life to the character in that moment.
And how long have you been acting at this point, Marco? For how many years?
No, ti ha chiesto da quanto tempo lo fai? Ti ha chiesto da quanto tempo lo fai? He's been doing it since 10 years.
Last 10 years? Okay, cool.
Okay, it's more like 12 years, because he spent the last 12 years really building on this American method, which is a little mix between other methods, and he's been practicing a lot between. He's also done in. He's also been in Britain to study on this method, and in Milan. So he's practicing a lot on this, and it's overall it's been something like 12 years since he started acting.
Are you more of a stage actor, or do you do most of your acting in front of the camera?
Sei più attore teatrale o di cinema? So yeah, he started as a theater actor, because with a lot of Shakespeare plays, because in his school that's what he pretty much did. But to really build on the profession, he started doing a lot of acting in front of the camera, and he started liking this more. I mean, theater is his home. He feels at home in a theater like ambient. But when he acts in front of a camera, it's like the camera doesn't exist at all. So it comes easy of him, and he really likes it, but he's always attached to the theater thing.
Did you feel like this fan film was more of a theater stage acting experience, or did it feel more like it was a camera set, studio-based experience?
Gli ha chiesto se per te questa esperienza di questo film era più simile al teatro o al cinema, dato che l'abbiamo girato in modo un po' particolare, o era alla fine un set come un altro. So he says this fan film, there is some shades of theater, but there's really while it's very different as many films that he's worked on, for how it was written and how it was shot, but it really felt cinematic to it, really felt the whole cinema experience to him, and he didn't really see the theater aspect of it at all. Maybe a little, maybe some shades of theater when it comes to the what we talked about earlier, but yeah, it really felt like it was more of a you really didn't see this theater aspect of the thing from a portrayal point of view.
And finally, so this is a Star Trek fan film, which I'm guessing is a lot different than anything you've ever done before. So what was that experience like for you as an actor?
Ha detto che era un fan film di Star Trek, è una cosa un po' particolare. Com'è stata questa esperienza come recitativamente, sia per via che fosse per un fan film, sia per il fatto che sono un fan di Star Trek? Yeah, it felt very unique. It was a very special experience to it. It doesn't matter if it's a fan or not. It was really something else, completely different from one does every day, because it feels like a sort of a big family that goes on this voyage. Not I mean, the characters is a cast of characters. There are little bridge. It's all compressed, so it's kind of a family in some sorts. But that's what it felt too from when it comes to the crew and the cast. It's all a big family doing this thing together. So it was very special and unique.
Oh, wonderful. Now, Marco, are you a Star Trek fan to begin with? Were you a fan coming into this?
Ha chiesto se è un
Si è
fan di
chiesto,
Star Trek.
si è chiesto se tu sia effettivamente un fan di Star Trek. Very big fan.
Eh,
Yeah, he was a very big fan. A very big fan, especially when it comes to the whole Picard storyline. Is Jean-Luc Picard's character. He really likes that. So he's a very big fan, and he doesn't know how to smile with his eyes, but if he knew, he would do it.
when we auditioned Marco, he came in. He was like very dressed up, very elegant. He said, "Oh, just give me 5 minutes. There is a restaurant." Then he came out, and he was totally changed, and with of course the Starfleet Delta. And yeah, and that's how he auditioned. And then he said, I'd like to play a Vulcan. And so actually, we actually wrote, I kind of took one of the characters and made him a Vulcan because it wasn't in the beginning. And after this, when we actually started shooting, he had all this huge file, like many papers, many sheets of with the research on Vulcan. He actually learned some Vulcan language and researched a lot on this. Yeah,
Wow.
his method to become he becomes the character.
That is definitely method acting. That is
Yeah.
absolutely, we're not worthy. Uh, all righty. Let's finish up with Jack here, because there's one other aspect of this
Adesso
fan film
riaggancio.
that was very unique and really wonderful to, in this case here, which was the music. Because Jack is an accomplished musician and composer, and so you did all the music yourself, right?
Well, first, thank you very much. Yes, I'm actually my main job is as a musician, but I'm usually a performer. I do write songs, but I write songs. I never wrote for cinema or even instrumental before, and definitely not for orchestra. So that side of it was actually a new experience for me. I always had some themes in me for like 20, 30 years, especially the main theme, ta, da, da, ta, da. That one I had it in me since as long as I remember, and I always associated it with Star Trek. So it was kind of obvious that would be the main theme of my movie. Also, if when you write a song, you basically can do anything on your own. It's just me and the piano, and then you do all the arrangement. Then, of course, I involve other people. I have a trio and so on. But when you write for a movie, you need to synchronize everything with the film, basically. And to do that, you need to understand how to do it. Basically, you have to have all the movie in the composing software and arrange everything there. The thing is that the sound libraries are very, very heavy. So when I started writing the music, and very soon my computer couldn't keep up. So it just wasn't possible. It's 30 minutes of movie with video. Even if I kind of reduce the quality of the video, it just couldn't do it. So I had to rethink this back in January. I started in December, and in January I said, okay, I can't work this way. I really can't write this way. So I went back to the beginning, and I wrote everything on piano. So I have like this draft with all the melodies, all the main melodies, main harmonies on piano synced with the movie. Then I took the piano out, opened a separate project for every track, and did all the orchestral arrangement there. And of course, after this, you need to put it back on the video. Eventually, it worked. This is kind of how they used to work in the 80s, I think, because I mean, in the 80s, they didn't have the luxury of having the movie already done that could be seen while you write. But usually, you kind of visualize everything on piano and then do the arrangement later.
Were you playing all the instruments yourself that were in the orchestra?
It's some I played, some I just programmed on the computer.
What instruments are in the music track?
There are so many. There are so many. I, of course, it's Star Trek, so most of the tracks I wanted to give them an orchestral feeling. So I have this BBC Symphony Orchestra library that I use a lot. Then I use a lot of Contact, which is another software that has many libraries. And the rest, most of it comes from the sounds in Logic, Apple Logic. But there are many instruments there. There is one track in particular that I brought at the very end, which is when we have the characters looking at a Klingon ship that's following them. That I said, okay, let's try to do something a bit different. And so I use a kind of a few synthesizers there, but most of it is orchestral.
And how long did it take you to do all the music?
Well, I started in December, but everything I did in December, I had to redo basically. So from January to the beginning of April. Actually, at one point, Walter told me, okay, let's give us a deadline, which is something that I really need usually, because otherwise I just keep working on it and never finish. So I had like this, I think it was mid of April. I say, let's finish this by then. And yeah, so 3 months more or less.
Yeah, one of your fellow fan filmmakers from America, Josh Irwin, had that experience in his recent fan film L'Amour de Guerre, which is a French title, but in English. But anyway, he just kept editing it and editing it and editing it, and eventually he was just everybody was telling him, you need to just stop. It's done.
Yeah.
You can't make it any better. Just let it go. Release it. I know because I was there for the editing part of him. He kept showing me, iteration after iteration after iteration. I think I watched the fan film like 14 or 15 times, and even I was thinking,
because you lose objectivity. You don't have the initial immediate reaction to it. So you say, okay, let's change this. Maybe let's change that. And it never ends at that point.
It never ends. Well, Josh kept reminding me of our experience when we were making Interlude, because Josh was my director of photography, but he was also my editor. And I was basically post-production supervisor on that. So I was giving him all these changes during post-production, and Josh said, yeah, basically I'm Jonathan Laning myself. But anyway, yeah. But I can totally understand wanting to, just get it perfect. But eventually you just have to kind of, let the kid go to college.
That's actually something I really wanted to avoid. Is I wrote the script, and of course the music was up to me. And but the thing is that I really like when to leave the other people on the project a lot of room. So I really didn't tell that much to Walter or anybody actually. That unless there was something that really didn't work, I really left them a lot of freedom in this. All the visuals, everything regarding the visuals are up to Walter. I have no input there basically. And also there are some acting choices that were different from the script. And sometimes I question. I said, "Are you sure about this?" He said, "Yes." Okay, that's fine with me. And I think I like when this kind of approach.
I liked it too, because it was very easy to work together, and it was written in a very easy way, because Jack wrote a very beautiful screenplay. You can see that he wrote it already in mind that it should have been easy to shoot. It's pretty much everything. It's on the bridge or in little separate rooms, and it didn't make an extremely difficult screenplay with a lot of locations and extremely difficult locations or strange scenes and effects. So it was easy to shoot and adapt, and we confronted on a few things to do, and it was very insightful and easy to work with him. And I really, it was really important to me anyway that what we were doing was satisfying to him, because that's more of a project of his than it is of me. I mean, it's much more of a Jack project than is mine, because yes, I came across as a director, but that's his thing, that's his screenplay, that's Jack's thing, Jack's main project. And so what it was very important to me that what we did was satisfying to him.
And you're satisfied, Jack, at this point? You're happy with it?
Absolutely, I love it. Love it. I can't wait. You know, we screened the movie in a theater on Saturday. Then we release next week, the following week, and I can't wait to actually have it out of people outside the project see it, because so far I think like just 15 or something like that people have seen it.
Now, I know that when it does finally come out, you've obviously got, it's all in Italian with subtitles, but I know that you've also been looking for some American actors who can dub
Yes.
it over in English. How is that part of the project coming along?
It's coming slowly, but it's coming. We still actually probably will still need to find some actors, but we're starting to get the first audio from some of them, and
Yes, we're
to
working
work.
on it. Yes.
You know, it's actually doing a dubbing of a movie. It's not the same thing as doing an audio drama. So most of the people who are trying to do this actually did audio dramas before. What's really hard is to convey the same kind of intention of the original actor and to use the same kind of pauses. Because if you have like let's say, a line that goes, I don't know, Captain, I think that we need to go somewhere. And the original actor said, Captain, I think that we need to go somewhere. While the dubbing actor goes, Captain, I think we need to go somewhere. The second line is impossible to overdub, basic, to put on the movie.
Yeah, so I guess you have to direct your dubbers as
Yes.
well.
Yes,
Are you
exactly.
working really closely with them as they're recording their lines, or are you getting their lines and then you come back to them and say?
Sometimes they're sending us the lines. Sometimes we did it online. Basically, we found them and we direct them. We're working a bit in a way and a bit in the other. It's gonna take some time, I think, to finish this.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I mean, the thing is that usually there's the foreign language fan films are left in that foreign language with the subtitles. So the fact that you're being
But,
kind to us Americans and giving us
Yeah, that's something I really wanted to have an English version too.
Well, certainly looking forward to that. We're also looking forward to part 2 of this. Is this only a 2-parter? Is there going to be a part 3 or anything?
You know, with the guidelines, I originally tried to follow the guidelines, and they say like I think it's 2 15-minute segments. So I wrote the movie with the idea of a middle point when it cuts out. Then we actually went far longer than this because I think the final movie will be around 1 hour. This first part is 27 minutes, but it's still written so it can cut off at that point. So yeah, it's two episodes of basically a single movie, a single story, but cut in two.
How and when the second part will be released, it depends a lot on the crowdfunding project, because the whole idea actually is to we have a lot of options, mainly because the original idea was to redo the first part. If the crowdfunding goes right, we redo the first part with the proper production design and we go until the end of the second. But we can also decide to just do the second with some updated design, or do the second part shot like the first. We have a lot of options depending on how the crowdfunding project goes on.
Yeah, and of course, Jorg already did, I think, every
It's okay.
second part. Yeah,
Yeah.
He already finished.
So is it? He hasn't done the visual effects for part 2 yet, or has he?
Yes.
He has.
already
Okay.
done. But of course, if
Okay.
there need to be some changes, okay, I
We
can.
might.
But but basically, he's like, okay, guys, go finish it already. I'm
I have this new CGS to send.
Alrighty. Well, I want to say grazie for everybody's time today and for talking about this great fan film. Congratulations, by the way, on getting it released, and best of luck with your crowdfunder to get everything finished. I mean, who knows? Maybe you'll make so much money you can fly everybody to America and shoot on one of the sets that we have.
That would be wonderful.
And you can go see places like Florida and Georgia or Arkansas. Which is kind of a joke here in America, because Arkansas is not necessarily a popular tourist destination for us, but that's where the sets are. All righty. Well, anyway, once again, thank you so much, everybody, and congratulations again. And keep us posted, and then let us know what progress is being made, especially on the dub version. And when that's ready, maybe we'll have you on again.
All right.
Very big thank you.
Thank you very much.
Arrivederci.
Thanks a lot.
Arvezze. We say arvezze from around here.
About say again.
Arvezze.
Arvezze.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, you're gonna learn Italian here on Fan Film Factor. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.